Coaches, it's January. Has your team got the January blues? Have standards slipped over the holiday break? Are people starting to get tired of the season? You're maybe not at the playoffs yet. This is the grind. This is the dog days of the season. So, how do you maintain or even lift standards after a mid-season break like this? How do you raise the expectations, raise the enthusiasm inside your team? It's season 2, episode 31 of the Don't Tell Me, Show Me podcast. Right, Mark, I have to confess my team, or me specifically, is struggling. The team I coach, several injuries that we're struggling to recover from. I coach an amateur team, so people have got things going on with their lives, and things going on with your life seems to happen more over the Christmas break, funnily enough. Our standards are slipping. I'm really struggling to maintain. I'm just thankful people come to practice. And this must be happening with your clients left, right, and center as well. Like, what do you make of it? Like, why does this happen?
It's so common across sports and business. I've been putting in this month 2 interventions, one with a corporate client, one with a sports team. The challenge is, if you're building a culture and behaviors and attitude of discipline, self-awareness, the interdependency of helping others be the best they can be in challenge and celebration, we tend to build on it, and then we build up for November. Christmas becomes, we've got dues coming up and then a break. Some teams have less of a break than others. But then when January comes around, one of the challenges we have is coaches, if you think back, I guarantee you would have had a bit of a regression blip every single year when there's been a bit of a break.
Yeah.
And colleges in the States, when they'll have those breaks and then come back. What we need to do, look at it this way, we should be putting in a preventative strategy and then scan. If we haven't put in a preventative strategy, we need a scan and then put in an intervention. I think we're at a point now where if you haven't done the first strategy, we need a scan, recognize, so overtly look at self and others, because often it's us that is dropping the ball, and then put in the strategy, and it needs to be an explicit strategy. I think this is where there's a bit of a trip up. So what I normally do is I do the preventative work of recognizing, look, what's going to be coming? We're going to have a break. What often happens when we come back from the break? So what can we do about it? And then literally the day, 2 days before, we're saying, okay, we're ready for this now. So then we're really explicit on that first session. Okay, what will be acceptable and unacceptable when we're turning up for that first session? First of all, being in time, having your kit ready, having the attitude to really go and make this work now to set us to where we are. So it's really explicit and people are priming. If we don't do that, and we haven't done it with ourselves, what we start to see is a little bit of regression. Someone's turning up a little bit late. They haven't collected their kit. The warm-up's a bit... You're looking at it and you think, we're not fired up for this now. People are going through the motions a little bit. And then the session feels a little bit flat. But we're noticing it sometimes subconsciously after the session. But what we're not doing is saying, well, if this happens every year, why aren't I preparing everyone for it? So raising awareness, the priming. And then as soon as I see it, time for an intervention. For me, I'd stop the session. Pull everyone in and go, okay, is anyone noticing and feeling anything right now? Okay, so what are we going to do about this? We've got 2 choices. We can keep going as we were, and how's that going to make us feel, and how successful is that going to be? Or we need a reset right now. And what does our reset, based on the standards that we've already shown ourselves a month ago, we're capable of? Get them to tell us, set UAs against it, and we start the session again.
Yeah, I'm reminded of your concept of state. When thinking about myself, my state is not great at the moment. I give myself a pass for that. Like, that's not a self-criticism, because I'm a volunteer coach essentially, or lowly paid, and it's easy at this time of year to slip a little bit. Players aren't playing too hard. I'm not coaching too hard. If they don't, there's almost like this kind of unwritten agreement, unsaid agreement between us of let's all just, if we all drop our standards a little bit, then nobody's to blame. And maybe our opponents are also dropping their standards if we're lucky, and maybe we'll just kind of get away with it. My state's not great at the moment, I have to say.
I think, well, there's 2 ones. There's one for you. Let's do that secondary. Although you're not secondary to the conversation, Simon.
Thank you.
It's being the sheep or the shepherd. And everyone needs to be the shepherd when no one's directing the flock. It's not reliant on coach, manager, assistant coach. That's every player, every level. So if we're self-aware of how am I doing, without first looking at sensing others are unacceptable, if we've even set a parameter of what's acceptable and unacceptable, some people haven't, so there's grey. But we tend to sense if we're not committed in our communication and our commitment to choice, attitude. So what we've got to do is, anyone sensing it, it's up to us to develop a culture where anyone can say anything and not be, one, fearful, or secondly, feeling, I'll wait for someone else to make the call. No, if you're seeing it, it's your responsibility to make it. It would be unacceptable not to. So going back to your point, Simon, on states not great, that it's a bit wishy-washy, if you don't mind me saying.
Yeah.
So do you know, when you're self-aware of you clearly you're quite aware of your state compared with some coaches. But have you got a parameter of what's acceptable and unacceptable for you in order to be at least acceptable for planning and execution of a session? Are you clear on that? Minimum, I need this, or is that have you not asked yourself that specificness of where you need to be?
Yeah, that's a great point. It's sometimes standards are things we know when they're slipping, but we haven't defined them, but we know when they're slipping. So standards are relative, aren't they? Often it's not an absolute scale. It's just are they going up or are they going down? So in my case, I haven't set what's acceptable or what's excellent for me in my preparation. But I do have an intuitive sense of it. I just know I've coached long enough that I maybe don't need to be too explicit about it, and I don't need to necessarily write it down, or at least I can sort of get away with not doing that, so to speak, and still coach to a reasonable level. But I haven't been shining a light on it. Like, this conversation is really timely because this is me. As soon as you start verbalizing it to anybody else, you increase that level of that kind of self-awareness. But certainly, like, preparation has become really difficult because I don't know who's at training. Our numbers are really, really low. I've planned for practices and then just thrown the plan out the window 20 minutes before practice starts because I just don't have that attendance, and then that doesn't inspire me to plan for the next time. And that's, again, not criticizing the players. Like, I'm not it's not woe is me here. I'm kind of thinking here about what I can do and how you balance allowing or not allowing a slippage of standards with also just being empathetic of people's circumstances. I find that quite hard.
So you've answered the question without answering the question. Because irrelevant whether you're intuitive or not, you should be really clear on what minimum standard you need to be in your state, your scanning, your communication, your clarity, your interventions. For you to say, whether it's intuitive or not, what I need to be is really explicit on scanning. Where is everybody? What's our baseline now? So that's that thing about, whether you call it planning or preparation, you can prepare, but if coming up, there's a time of year where attendance may be dropping a little bit. Some will be weather if it's not, fully professional level. So when we're doing preparation, we should be saying, look, I have enough variables in my experience and knowledge and expertise to know if 6 people turn up, if 3 people turn up, I can still do something. So all we're doing is as soon as an arrival comes, we're scanning, right, what have we got? Back to that neutral state. What have we got? Right, this is what we got. What are my options? Back to using the ARP. Okay, bang, based on success criteria, what can I exploit with the capability of what I've got? This is an opportunity, bang, here we go. But you're doing that, but what we've got to make sure is everyone else aware, are they doing that? Or are they going, not everyone's turned up, so it's not going to be a good session. As opposed to going, right, what opportunity have we got right now to exploit where we've got now? People have individual capability, they'll have work-ons, they may not have worked with somebody before, they may have a clarity element. What can we do right now? There's always something we can do. If we've got 2 people turn up, there's always something we can do if it's a team sport. So that's the clarity of, if I'm coming up to a session, when I'm driving in the car or walking in, am I saying, and I've got a video of this on the members there in a coach helping to repair themselves, is what is success for me? How am I doing with that? And then what's success for the team? Not knowing who's going to be there.
Yeah.
Then when I get there, I'm scanning and I'm saying, right, who have we got? As soon as they're coming in, I'm data capturing. As soon as we're there, okay, So what options have I got with what I've got? And now I get excited about what can I do there, but then I need to make sure everyone else is being excited about what can we do and involve them in agreeing that clarity of success. So that again, almost Race and I goes, well, actually, the session can always be an effective session if I've got that mindset.
Yeah, I hear you. I hear you. If fewer people attend a training session, then those people that do attend can get more individual attention. They can actually really improve. It's going to be difficult when you have to put the team back together for a game or match, but you can't control that,
No.
obviously. Yeah, it's hard as a coach to insulate yourself from the attendance of the group, because in some ways, the attendance of the group is you can easily interpret that as a sort of barometer for people's enjoyment of being in the team at the moment, and it can be hard to reflect on, what do I need to do better to actually change this environment. Maybe people are voting with their feet.
Yeah. Now, one of the things that is really important, we did this work in December when the weather was bad with one of the clubs I work with in Scotland. And there was a drop off, and we were changing the culture of the club, and we're doing it over a year, 18 months. And so what we made sure we did explicitly was make sure everybody that turned up really got maximum engagement into the session. So they knew there was a success and they improved because of something. But we made sure we got them to let everyone know that wasn't there how great the sessions still are. Not in a negative way or you miss, but just saying, look, it seems to be, I got so much from that session. Love to see you on the next session. Because what can often happen, as you know, when someone decides not to do something, so I'm deciding to separate a little bit, they think, I've missed a session now, I can't get back in, and they miss 2 or 3. And what we're not doing is, and there's a couple of episodes we were talking about this, are we connecting them back in? Are we being relentless in connecting them back in? The door is always open, but hey, we can still be really effective. If 3 of you turn up, you're going to get 3-to-1 coach-athlete coaching right now, but we're always going to get something on it bespoke to our needs, based on need center. So one thing is making sure we being neutral in what can we get, connecting with everyone there, but make sure then the athletes, not just us, are reconnecting the people that weren't there, and make sure, just because I missed a session, it sounded really good, I can still hook into the next session. I haven't lost anything. There's still an opportunity to hook back in. That's missing a little bit, particularly in community sports, I sense. Yeah. We kind of hope, and then we deal with what we've got, as opposed to can we keep hooking them back in?
Well, even in a performance environment, a fully professional environment, you may have, say, older, experienced players training less at this time of the year. So what do you do at any level when you've got variations in training attendance for whatever reason? How do you then take that into selection? Do you start to prioritize the people that have been attending training? And what if those people are less talented and make a smaller contribution to performance on the weekend?
My take, pre-agreement in what success is for the club and what we are going to measure selection on. There's no grey. We're pre-agreeing that. And it's not a black and white. It's what's best for the team. So if someone's got a bit of a blip and you go, actually, this is an important match, I will always this is my take, I always make sure the people that are always turning up that may not be higher capability always get minutes. But there may be, as a blip, someone that hasn't been able to turn up or got a bit demotivated or a bit fatigued and flat, but they're ready now for the match, we bring them back in. But if it becomes a trend, again, this is a pre-agreement at clarity. We're saying, look, now you're not committing. There's an attitudinal issue, there's a time management issue, there's a lifestyle, things away from a family issue, but there needs to be an investigation, because now we're getting to unacceptable if it's pre-agreed, based on what we're saying success is for the club, even at professional level. If it's not pre-agreed with that clarity, then we're struggling a little bit, because then we're dipping in and out, and then there's favoritism, and then there's no consistency. So we need to be really clear with everyone, saying, look, your not just attendance, but your commitment and enthusiasm when you attend, and what you do in preparation in between, watching videos, replying to emails in time, messages, sharing your reflections, whatever's pre-agreed, these are all influences in selection, but not one is black and white. But if we're seeing a trend where there's an attitudinal issue, there's a barrier, or the barrier we don't know, We need to investigate it straight away. And now there may be a consequence that will have a bigger impact on selection. Because any owner of any club, the head coach, the manager, needs to be priming them to this. Look, if this is a culture you want to build, this is a high performance team, there's some elements we need to agree now, and you need to back me on these. So pre-agree it and then honour it, but keep everyone up to speed. Don't ignore, and now we have to have a conversation. Get in early, connect, reasons why, where's the barriers, and then keep growing forward. And I think that's, again, I know we spoke about it in the past, but having that lack of clarity or not agreeing what is success for the club, this is when people trip up, and this is when we get the conflict or favouritism as it's perceived.
Yeah, it's a tricky situation when things start unraveling. They can unravel fast, and then issues that you didn't even know existed or weren't issues previously, they become issues, and it sort of feeds on itself. And it sounds simple, doesn't it? But the concept of standards being a slippery slope, really does apply. And so that daily work of keeping them high is energy sapping, But in my experience, and I only know this in hindsight, the most energy sapping situations are when the vibe isn't great or people aren't attending, there aren't happy faces around in part because our standards slipped. So an investment up front to set those standards together, make them clear, and then keep them high, really actually, in hindsight, that would save me energy in January, February, most seasons.
And also, we've got to remember the whole point of that rule of three that I developed was that it's not all about three managing behaviors. It's not all about three energy sapping standards and checking and challenging, and importantly, celebrating. It's everybody.
Hold on. What do you mean? It's not about three. What do you mean?
Three is coach.
Right.
Rule of two is peers. One is self.
Yeah.
So it shouldn't. If the coach is the one driving the culture and behavior all the time, there's a year gone by, I'm still the one checking accountability. There's something fundamentally flawed in how you're developing your team. That's not a team right there. It's cultivating the people at two, the peer-to-peer support. And importantly, if we're really with clarity, if we honour every time on the challenge, but importantly, we also honouring the over explicit celebration of progress, then that becomes an energy booster. Because we're scanning for both, not just one. So we're back to not that correcting reflex, which people easily seem to do if it's a technical or tactical issue, but tend not to do on a behavioural issue, is back to one, is the person checking themselves? No. Two, am I seeing my peers do it? Am I getting a reaction and action from the person they're reaching out to? No, now I step in. But also, are they just checking challenging fault? Or are they spotting the progress, the celebration, the mini wins? If they're not, I need to challenge that. Guys, what just happened over there? I didn't hear anyone celebrate that. Why not? Because in tough matches, if we're preparing with the end in mind, that Stephen Covey principle, in matches, especially in the toughest matches, the one thing we need to do when momentum's against us is celebrate mini wins, because that will get our momentum back. But if we're not practicing that in training on and off court, on and off pitch, it's very hard to do under stress. So this is where I think some special forces across the world are very good at this. They find humour in trauma. And I use the word trauma in a respectful way. Trauma can be from the really extreme to things are going well now. We're getting constant failure. Things are mucking up, not just the death side of things. But if we can find humour and celebration in mini wins, that's when we get momentum back. That's when we connect back again. The hand touch, saw you did that. Great. Next time we've got this. Keep going. Same as a defender on a court or a pitch. Someone keeps getting through, but actually what you're doing is you're making it hard for them. So don't go, oh, they've got through again. You're doing the right thing. Keep going. You're wearing them out. You're making it tough for them. Keep going. It's not about them getting past you. It's about the peer recognising to celebrate the mini wins to help get you back on again. So when we're looking at standards and culture, what we've got to be looking at is, are we celebrating when we see the great? If not, why not? That should be part of the culture. But if we're not doing that, your point will be, it will be energy sapping, because the only time we communicate is when someone's done something wrong, or they're not up to standard, or they're late. So this spectrum of making sure we're scanning effectively and putting a name on it and being specific is about standard. But it's not just about fault finding, it's about celebration with a name on it, with specifics. That builds behavior.
Yeah, that's a great point. I love that about celebrating mini wins. That's a really practical thing that a coach can do
Yeah.
today to move their team forward. One thing that has worked with my group that I'm coaching this year is earlier on in the season when we were fitter than we are now, and we were healthier than we are now, and we were winning some big games. We still focused on process over outcome. So that was a core mindset principle that I introduced at the beginning. This was a new season. I'm a new coach to that group. It was some new players. It was very much about forming together. Well, I knew there was going to be ups and downs this season. And because we introduced the concept of process over outcome earlier while we were being successful, now that we're being unsuccessful, the principle really applies. But I'm not introducing it late to sort of retrofit this
Yeah.
situation. Oh, you're just kind of polishing a
Yeah.
turd kind of thing. We actually introduced it earlier on when we were doing
Yeah.
better. And just this past weekend, we had a game where we didn't have many players because we had a line of 5 people on the bench in street clothes. They were all injured. And to their credit, they attended the game even though they were injured, and they started celebrating small processes. So it wasn't every time we scored, it was just every time we made a play that could have resulted in a score. They actually started celebrating misses at times. If we'd made a good play, played together, found a way to the basket, but were unsuccessful at the final result. The people on the bench just was spontaneously celebrating that. So I didn't quite click that at the time. So I'm connecting that now to your idea of celebrating mini wins. But the concept of process over outcomes really helped me, especially if you introduce it at the beginning when there are no outcomes. In the off season,
Yeah.
we haven't played a
Yeah.
game yet, so there are no outcomes
Yeah.
to talk about. So we're introducing the
Yeah.
concept now.
And we're back to, if we look at process, and some people struggle a little bit with that, of hang on, put some texture on that, is all the elements in state, scanning, identifying the right options, the influences, committing to the choice, all those things. You can have celebrations amongst all those elements. Someone reading someone and starting to adapt to the opposition, someone committing, getting up first and sprinting back when they lose a ball, sprinting back in position when the ref blows a whistle or the umpire. These are mini wins right there. This is process. Every time you're sprinting back and getting in position first, why are we not celebrating that? Why is a teammate not putting a name on it and going, awesome, getting back? Because that builds the momentum. That builds the controllables that any team, irrelevant and capability, can do from 5 years old to the elite. And if you watch the best of the best at any level, any age, if you really look at it, that's what they're doing really well. They're doing the basics fundamentally really well with enthusiasm and commitment to the choices across the board, but they're communicating with real clarity and everyone can hear and everyone connects. So the communication is not just on the tactical. The communication is, can I say something now that's going to give that some positive reinforcement right there? Or someone's being a bit lazy. Can I get them back up again? Can I have an effective impact with them? So when we're looking back at texture of the regression that I see, and we all see as coaches and managers, and again, I've been 2 days with one of my corporate clients, we had the same issue, is getting them to reconnect with what can we do at Self? Not glass half empty, what can we do? Being proactive and then using the principles that we drive through that need-centered approach is, how am I doing now? What am I seeing now? Am I just focused on when things go wrong and spending a lot of energy and time on that? Am I even looking and am I even seeing the things that are going well and putting a name on that? Mm-hmm. So these are the little things that it's not just the coach's responsibility. I would say the coach's responsibility is make themselves redundant. That should be the aim. So the athletes, players are doing it themselves for each other. And then you're in there to go, if they're not, check and challenge. On celebration, we're not celebrating, why not? What did you see over there? Okay, put a name on it. Remember the sideline, little one-to-one. Jimmy, what are you seeing over there? Is that great? Yeah, well, what do we need to say? What do we need to say to Sarah? Bang, off we go. So how we can facilitate that without taking over. But again, if we know regression is coming, prime people. Guys, we're coming back after Christmas. What are the things that can happen to us? So how can we prevent that at Self and with my teammates? And then priming in the first half hour, even before the start of the warm-up. What could go wrong here? So what was exceptional? What did we say that we've shown we can do? Right, let's do that now. And we keep connecting. And all of a sudden then the roller coaster starts picking up and going in the right direction as opposed to just dipping.
Yeah. Okay, speaking of quick wins, let's go with rapid fire tips for coaches here. It's January, you've come back after the break, maybe standards have slipped. Let's summarize this episode, introduce some quick tips, things that coaches could do this week to help raise those standards again and get back on track. Fire
So
away.
first thing is check yourself, your state, what is success for you before you walk into every session. Don't get caught up in false expectations. Make sure we're really clear, and then scan for where we know we're capable of doing, and then put interventions in if you're seeing it unacceptable is one option.
Okay. I suggest being really intentional with the coach's clap. So by that I mean choosing when you're particularly at a match or game, being really intentional and choosing when you clap. So most people, especially obviously the crowd, will clap after an outcome. So in basketball, that's after a score. The players on the bench will often celebrate that. That's great, but you as a coach don't necessarily need to celebrate those outcomes because other people are. Can you celebrate the process and start clapping while the ball's in the air before it's gone in the basket, or while the shot is on its way to the goal before you know the outcome? If you liked that process, start clapping so that people get the message that you're clapping the process that got them to that point rather than the outcome.
First choice for me is preventative priming. So if you know there's a trend, bring them in early, share if you're in Messenger with them, whatever, prime them ready. What's it going to look like? What do we need to look for? What's our exceptional? And then make sure in a position where you're seeing the players walk in or the athletes walk in. If you're seeing them a bit flat, do the intervention then, or get your team captain, influencer. And then you're scanning warm up early on. As soon as you're seeing it unacceptable, once the priming's been agreed, you need to put an intervention in. Do not allow it to allow it to happen. Otherwise, we're back to the puppy pooing on the carpet. If you don't know that one, listen to the podcast back because I've explained that at least twice now on there.
Okay, I recommend this week have 2 1-to-1s. Choose the player in your group who has the potential to bring the energy down the most. Sometimes it's a negative or critical person. Sometimes it's just somebody whose emotions are up and down. And when they're happy, everyone's happy. But when they're unhappy, everybody knows it. That person who just sort of wears their emotions on their face. That person has the potential to bring the group down unknowingly, and it's not their fault. It's not necessarily criticism of them. Have a 1-to-1 with that person and try to highlight to them the effect they have on the team. And then the second 1-to-1 is who's your rock? Who's the person in your group who you can rely on the most to be that consistent person, and encourage them via a 1-to-1 to have a positive impact on the team and to go around connecting with people.
If you're seeing a drop in one of the software elements, in attitude, in communication, commitment, it could be sprinting back, whatever, set that success criteria for that phase of the session. Don't have it as a hardware element because the software is the killer. So if it's communication, say success for the next 20 minutes is effective communication. Let's agree what unacceptable would be, acceptable, exceptional, right? Let's go for it now. So what we're doing is we're putting focus on the area that's bringing this down, and then reviewing every timeout, 30-second, a minute timeout. We're saying, okay, review the success. And that is a way to help cultivate the very behaviors in the software that you see as dipped.
Great. Okay, Mark, we're coming up on
I've got one more.
You've always got one more. All right.
Go. Well, yes. The reset tool is fantastic. Again, it's in my members area. You can get through to on my website. Key. Ask them how long they can go for maintaining the standards we know you're capable of. If they say a minute, 2 minutes, 3, set the stopwatch, off it goes. As soon as it starts to drop, give them a 5-second warning, 5, 4. If they continue and pick it back up, great, go for the time. If they don't, shout reset. They get 30 seconds or 10 seconds to talk to themselves. The stopwatch starts again. It's a fantastic way to put explicit focus and energy into the area that they said they want to improve in, or say the standard. So that's the reset. You can do it in time, or you can do it in repetitions if there's a phase of play.
Oh, I like that, Mark. I'm going to use that. Thank you. That's a great way to finish. Well, coaches, we try to keep this episode short because it's January. You've got things to do. You're still a little bit tired, maybe. So we're thinking of you out there in coach land because it's tough. It's tough. And if you're in the Northern Hemisphere right now and you're coaching any sort of team sport, it's a hard grind, potentially at this time of the season. So feel free to get in touch, drop us a DM, comment on our YouTube. Send us an email if you want to get in touch. Also, the usual, please subscribe, 5 stars, all of that. We want to get this word out to as many people as possible, and we need your help to do it. Thanks,
and
Mark.
if anything you've taken from this, please put a comment if it resonated. But also, if you say you're going to commit to it, share with us what you're going to do from what you've taken from this episode. That's the type of texture that could really help us help you.
Great. Hey, we've got a couple of guests lined up as well. So tease that. Or next episode, we've got a very established and experienced lacrosse coach in the US who adapted his style, used to be quite drill-based and is now adapting the constraints-led approach. So we're going to debate the CLA on our next episode. In what situations is it good or bad? Is it the magic tool, or is it just one of the tools in the toolbox? So that's coming up on the next episode. Thanks, Mark.
Awesome. Thank you.